Hi, I'm Chinwe. In this podcast, I am thrilled to bring you an incredible lineup of guests, ordinary women who have harnessed their struggles into powerful transformations. No matter your background or backstory, their experiences will resonate with you and will inspire you to let go of the limiting narratives shaped by your circumstance, upbringing, or past programming. We can all achieve greater freedom and happiness in our everyday lives, and my guests are here to tell you how. So, come on, let's dive into season 2 of Beyond 9 to 5. Hi everyone, my guest today is a woman who has had nothing handed to her. But from her humble childhood in a South London council estate to the head and business lead for a company that empowers disadvantaged young people. She is your ordinary woman whose passion fuels her purpose and who is making an extraordinary impact as a result. I believe you will find our conversation today both insightful and inspirational. So, it is with great pleasure that I welcome Denise Knights.
Thank you, Chinwe. It's lovely to be here.
Hi, really nice to actually meet you in person. Yes. Because we'd spoken over the phone. And I just think you're amazing. I think our audience today would really enjoy our conversation. I want to start actually with you as a teenager, right? In South London, in your home with your parents. You've got siblings, have you?
I've got one sister, older sister, yes.
Yeah. And very, very humble, background. What were you dreaming about at that time? 16 years of old. What were you looking to the world and thinking and aspiring for?
I wanted to get away. I actually wanted to better my life. I didn't want to stay around where all my friends were just getting local jobs in local shops. I wanted to earn enough money to own my own house because I knew the struggles that my parents went through being in council accommodation. And I wanted to fly the nest and reinvent myself, which was really important to me.
Yeah. What was that dream like? Because a lot of times, when you are dreaming about something, you have a vision, so to speak. You might have people that you're role modeling around or looking to look like or be like. Did you have any particular role models at that age?
It's quite funny, actually, because all my friends did, and especially like in the pop world and film stars. No, people who inspired me were ordinary people. Yeah. My English teacher inspired me probably the most in school because she believed in me, one of the only teachers that actually did. Yeah. And then at 16, when I left home, then there were people who were in charge of me then who were my role models. Yeah. So everyday normal people were my inspiration.
I think this is incredible because that's basically what this podcast is about, isn't it? Highlighting the fact that our role models are literally right next to us. Exactly. Every day. They are your everyday women and people that you come in contact with. And that there is a need in a way to really look at the narrative where young people, especially young people, and not just young people actually, quite a lot of adults, I guess, look to sort of celebrity type personalities as something to look forward to, whereas there is plenty of inspiration around us, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if you look into the pop world or now the social media world, a lot of these come from backgrounds where their parents or someone has paid for them to be where they are. So you've got this financial gain, which I find really hard. I like people who find their way with no push from parents' money or being bought the advantages. Yeah. So to actually get somewhere through hard work, determination, networking, true grit, I think is amazing. That's amazing. The people who inspire me.
Yeah. I think it's also important to think about ourselves as role models because your English teacher, for instance, was probably getting on with her day and not realizing what an impact she's having by just, existing and showing up for classes and being kind. And it would have been her normal day job, isn't it? But here we are, years and years later, still talking about her.
Absolutely. And that's what I hope to do as well, is that people can look back and think, oh, yeah, Denise believed in me.
Yes.
And
yeah.
if you believe in someone, it's amazing how much that can push them further in their life, professional life and personal life.
Were you good at school? Did you have...
Was I good? I think if you asked all my teachers except my English teacher, they'd probably say no.
Really?
And that's probably why...
Because you're brilliant. You're quite... Yeah, how come? So what happened there then?
I think going back to when I was at school, everyone had to sit in a line and be lectured at, and then go to breaks at a certain time, go to dinner at a certain time, basically taught to work in a factory, go down the mines or whatever. Not that I'm that old, but you know what I mean. And so there was no real way to be individual, and make your own. It wasn't building inventors and creatives. It was building people to sit down and do as they're told and regurgitate for an exam. And that's not how I work. I need to learn by doing. And so perhaps I talked too much in class, asked questions that they actually didn't like me asking, especially being in a convent school. Yeah. So I asked questions that they didn't want me to ask. And so I always say to everyone, I've got an O-level in corridors. That's where I spent most of my school life, was outside in the corridor. Yeah. Except for when I had English, because she let me stay in the classroom, which was nice.
I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? Again, it's quite common these days for a lot of children to struggle in school, right? And I'm often quite mindful about when I hear a parent or even friends say, my child is struggling in school. We need to stop and think, is the child struggling because they have particular needs, or are they struggling because we're basically trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had this vision of myself that I wasn't as clever as my sister, because people told me I wasn't like my sister, but I wasn't, because I'm not my sister. And so it wasn't until I left and went into the Met Police Cadets that I got 96.5% in my police exam, and I was the second student, the top female, because we used to segregate in exams then. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't silly. I just couldn't be taught in the way that they wanted me to learn. So that was an eye-opener. People believed in me. I reinvented myself. And that's when I grew as a person. Yeah.
When you left school, what happened then? Because then you went to a convent school, and when you graduated from school, when you left school, what did you do? What was your career like?
I joined the Metropolitan Police Cadets at Hendon, and that was residential. So at 16, I left home, packed my bags, and off I went up to North London. And being in South London, that was really quite a way to go. And lived up in Kingsbury Cadet Centre with all the other girls, because boys lived at Hendon, girls lived at Kingsbury. And it was really tough. It was tough physically and mentally. We were pushed to our limits to make sure that we had what it takes to graduate into Hendon Adult College. Yes. So the discipline was great. It was really, really forceful. We did a lot of army training, a lot of sport. But it either breaks you or makes you. And I've still got friends today who are very close friends that I met when I was 16.
Oh, so it's quite a bonding process, isn't it? When you've been through that with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from there, what happened from there? Because I know you've got a bit of a colourful career path.
Yeah, I think that's right. Don't ever think at 16 you know what you want to do, or teachers don't ask them what they want to do for the rest of their life, because my life journey has taken me on twists and turns to enable me to end up where I am today. I had no idea why I was doing most things, but I left the police on maternity leave, because in those days you had to still do early, lates and nights, and it wasn't possible with a baby. Yeah. And my son was born around the same time as Prince William and Prince Harry, and I watched as they had wonderful nurseries made by Rosie Fisher of Dragons of Walton Street, and I wanted my son to have that. And obviously totally out of my reach. So I decided to do it myself because two things I was good at school, which was art and PE, because they're moving about and doing things. And so I decided to start my own business whilst I was on maternity leave. Dreams Unlimited was my first business, and that was children's wall murals and hand-painted furniture. Oh. And that was quite a struggle in those days because there was no internet.
I was just going to say, how did you manage to sell or do the business?
Well, I started off on...
and were you high end as well? Because, hand painted furniture sounds like, certain sort of socioeconomic class.
Yeah, funny you should say that actually, because I started on a program called Livewire, so it's run by NatWest Bank and Shell, and I got a mentor. So that was my first mentor into business. And yes, we were aiming, I was aiming at people like me, people who wanted a Rosie Fisher nursery but couldn't afford it. Yeah. So I aimed at people like me, so I got leaflets printed and I walked around, put them through doors, put them on pin boards and that sort of thing, and approached at a price that I could afford and that other people I knew could afford. And it didn't get me much work at all until one day I was in Chislehurst painting a mural. And this lady said, "You must meet my interior designer." And she came in and said, "Oh, wow, come and do my showroom at the Decor Centre and do a nursery window," which I did. And then she said, "Well, let's go out together and work on your pricing." So we changed my pricing by putting it up 10 times.
Really?
And then I got loads of work.
No.
How weird's that?
How weird is that?
Yeah. So the market I went after didn't actually exist. So sometimes you have to look and reinvent yourself. And that's what I've done for the whole of my career is if I didn't reinvent myself, I would have ended up as a dinosaur and died. Yeah. So that's the one lesson I teach people.
I like what you just said now. The market you were after didn't actually exist. No. And that's so important because, I don't know, some of our audience might run businesses. It's one thing thinking about what you would buy. And therefore, if you pitched your product based on your own circumstances, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a market for it. And so, yes, having a mentor going out to look at or to ask people or to do your research around this properly before you pitch your product or service is so important, isn't it?
Absolutely, and to keep looking at your business and keep looking at your competitors. And sometimes you might look at something and think, "I love this, this is great." One thing I used to teach my staff when I ended up having a showroom was to like what you sell, don't sell what you like. Yeah. That's really important because you've got to be client-led and customer-focused. Yeah,
that's incredible. So you ended up becoming an interior designer from the sounds of it.
Well, like I say, I think I've been rather lucky because the interior designer who asked me to do her window then asked me if I would like to work for her and be a trainee interior designer. By this time, I was a single parent, so it was really hard to juggle. So I had a 2-year-old son. And I needed to make a new life for myself and him. So I could only afford childcare 2 days a week. So then I used to go out on a Sunday when my mum could look after him and do my murals. So I was training to be an interior designer and do my murals. And whilst I was at home with him, I was washing and ironing for a local restaurant too. Yeah. Anything to make ends meet. So don't take your eye off your end result, but sometimes you've got to do other things to make it happen. And I did, and in the end, I started on a Friday driving around all of North London with him in the car, collecting all the wallpaper and fabric orders. I did everything to enable me to keep on my interior design course to get to where I wanted to be. And it was hard work. I don't deny it was hard work. And painting chairs in the living room in the evening while my son was sleeping. But it was worthwhile.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. How did you have moments where you were like, okay, I'm going to pack this in? Did that ever happen to you?
No. Yeah. I mean,
do you know why it didn't happen to you? Because it does happen to people, right? What helped you keep that thought at bay? Or was it just you being hyper focused on this?
My son, I suppose. I'm always driven for my son and my girls now. I want them to be proud of me. If they're proud of me, then I'm proud of myself. And I needed to earn money. I've always pushed myself. I think because going right back to school where they didn't believe in me, that I wanted to prove to them that, this is Denise Knights. Look at her. Look what she's doing now. Yeah. And when I've met them during my careers and told them what I'm up to now,
they're like, wow.
And that's worth all the money in the world, isn't it?
Yes.
But, so after working at the Decor Centre, they then got a new owner in. So I become the showroom manager and the top interior designer, working for clients who were on television, footballers, and very wealthy, doing their yachts, second homes. And then I used to take my clients up to Chislehurst to a furniture shop there called Hamilton's International Limited, where I'd sit them on the sofas, pick the fabrics for them, then take them back to the showroom to do all the wallpapers and that sort of thing. And then the owner and the managing director of Hamilton said, why don't you come and work for me? My life has been quite lucky, really, in a lot of respects. But then, as I say, and I've painted on the wall downstairs, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's right. Because that hard work just exposes you to opportunities, isn't it? If you were sat at home feeling sorry for yourself or just feeling despondent, you'd not meet half the people you met, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So do you believe in luck, though? Because I think luck is more like opportunities, having a lot of opportunities and ending up with one. But then the opportunities happen if you go out there and
I believe in what I've put downstairs in the breakout room. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what, if you sit there and wait for things to fall on your lap, it's not going to happen. I went out there, I networked in the way that I didn't even realise I was networking by taking my clients to Hamilton's.
Yes.
He then asked me to start up an interior design company within his showroom.
Okay.
Within a year, I doubled the turnover of the company. I then become a director, and within 10 years, I owned the company.
Yeah. Oh, wow. She came, she saw, she conquered. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you build it, they will come.
That is an absolute... Now, okay, so this all makes sense now, why you are involved with LaunchIt, right? And you guys might not know what LaunchIt is, so I'll let Denise explain it, because it looks like you ended up with LaunchIt and it feels like your whole life has been building up, preparing you for this huge project. So tell us about LaunchIt, please. I can't wait for them to hear about this.
Well, if I can just fill in the gap of that, when in 2019, I decided my lease come to an end, so I decided to retire from Hamilton's, and I started work at Canterbury College in the visual arts department.
Yes.
And I was there to help them get work experience so that they could go out and either be self-employed or employed. I started up, which I didn't have to do, but I started up Become Your Own Boss Club and got lots of people either freelance postings or set up in their own company. Then when I saw LaunchIt coming onto the island, which I found out mainly because I was also a local councillor, so I knew Master's House was being refurbished. Yeah. I saw LaunchIt. I looked up at LaunchIt to find out exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's now in its 25th year. Started off in London, has 2 hubs in Scotland, a new one in Stoke actually starting this month. And this was a brand new one and the only one in Kent. So this was a place for young people in a deprived area between the ages of 18 to 30 who had a business idea or they wanted to grow their business to come and be mentored by an enterprise manager, which I am, have subsidised rent, access to funding, access to free workshops, pastoral care as well, which is really important because the business are holistic.
Yeah.
And I just thought, hold on a minute, has this job been written for me? Because it's basically what I'm doing at the college. Yes. But on speed, because I've got my own rooms to let too. And I needed to be the facilities manager for the building, which was fine because I'd run my own showrooms in London and in Kent. And also I'd done show homes and I'd bought and sold homes during the years when you could to flip houses. Yeah. So this was written for me, this job. And that's exactly what I said at the interview. Yeah. And I thought if I could get my hands on the future business owners,
entrepreneurs
then
and business owners. Yeah.
This is my dream, because
Yes.
if I could just teach them what not to do in business, how to network, how to make their lives easier and better, pass on my knowledge, pass on my expertise, that would be my dream come true, working with the next generation. Because I'd been working with the Prince's Trust as a mentor for 5 years. So this was another step in the right direction, and it's something that I really wanted to do, be hands-on and grow the next generation of brilliant people.
See, I've been snooping around a little bit and asking some of the people in Kent Master's house a bit about you, Denise.
Oh,
and
wow.
yes, detective work. And what comes through is your absolute dedication to them as individuals. This is not you just sort of shepherding a building and you know, you come across to them as really truly caring for them. And it feels to me like you have a connection with them. And it feels to me that they are probably mirroring your own experiences, isn't it? Coming from an underdog position where people gave up on you or told you even directly that you couldn't do something. It feels like you see yourself in them.
I think you're right. I think because every single person here is different.
Yes.
But they come from the same type of place. A lot of them haven't got anyone who believes in them or anyone who encourages them. And just to sit down and listen to them and find the unique journey, because I can't mentor them all the same. They all have to be mentored differently. So some of them here, I have to walk about and do things with them. So they're sweeping up, going shopping, and then we do our one-to-ones then. Other ones I can sit down and do it face-to-face. I can even do it over Teams. Everyone is different. I treat everyone equally, but not the same.
Yeah.
And I believe in them all.
Yeah.
And therefore, they then believe in themselves and then they fly.
Yeah. Do you have any success stories? Feel free to talk about the current situation we're in at the moment, because I think that's a success story. Do you have any success stories to share with the young people you've worked with?
I think probably, everyone's a successful story in
of course,
Master's House. We're early days. We're only not even a year in at the moment.
Really?
Yes. So,
wow.
It's early days. They're all a success.
Yes.
And they know, I think they're all a success. One story I think I would like to share was when I was working with a university student who was a single mum. So she was 19 and she had a 2-year-old daughter, and her parents gave up on her because they were quite religious. So she had no backup for childcare. And so she was struggling with her work at the university and missing deadlines and that sort of thing. And so the tutors said that she should give up and come back when the child's older. Oh. And she came to me and she said, I don't want to give up. And I said, don't then. Yeah. Don't do anything you don't want to do. But this is not going to be easy. If you want to do it, I will back you up and I will help you as much as I can. But this is not going to be easy. So we need to find a way to get a bit of support around you and to change the way you do things. So you're not going to be able to sit there during the day when your child's about studying. So you're going to have to nap when she naps and work into the night. But you can do it. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. And so I said, and let's document this story because it's a great story to tell.
Yeah.
So she did. And for her end of year project, it was because she was a graphic designer. It was all photographs of how she got through her dissertation and got through her course. Oh. And one of the pictures that actually, and it's quite emotional for me, was a picture of her daughter and the student's hand on her tummy saying, one hand tiggling and one hand doing my dissertation. Oh. And it still makes me feel, oh, wow.
Oh, I've got this flesh just thinking about it.
So she passed. She passed, and she then went on to do teacher training, and she passed her teacher training, and I met up with her quite by chance in Canterbury. Her child's now in school. She's now on her second placement in a secondary school, and she's got a lovely new partner. And she looked down at her little girl and said, this is a lady I told you about. Oh. Mummy wouldn't be where she is today.
Oh,
if this woman didn't believe in me. And that's how strong it is just to believe in someone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Everyone needs someone to believe in
Everybody
them.
needs somebody like that. And you can be somebody like that for somebody, isn't it? You can be a role model. You can be the person for somebody who is saying, yes, you can. Is so important. I think a lot of people may think that they are not. Yes, of course, Denise, you can do that. Look at your experience. Look at your all of that. You know people. You do all of. Do you think that anybody can do what you did for this person, this young woman?
I think if you've got empathy and sympathy,
yes,
and a heart, yeah, of course you can. A lot of people go into professions, perhaps for the job title, perhaps for the salary. Obviously, we all need money.
Yeah.
I'm not driven by money. If I can see these people succeed, then that's worth everything. That my children, mentoring my children through their life, they're all successful in their own ways. They're all completely different. And if I can just be a loco parentis to these people who need it, that floats my boat. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Ladies, pause for a moment and imagine this. A circle of women, strong, talented, wise and powerful, all in one place, ready to support you through tough times and to celebrate the good ones too. Picture a safe space where you can truly be yourself. A sisterhood that lifts you up, empowers you, and where we can share invaluable experiences with each other. Now, what if I can tell you that circle is right in your hands? Introducing HealthMary app. Health, well-being, and lifestyle solutions for women by women. All you have to do is download the app. It's free, and it's all the girl power you need. What would you say to parents? Because, you like you said, you have children. I've got kids as well. And I do worry about the narrative that they get, at school, right? At home, I've had to do my own homework, basically. So as a parent, baseline, you need to think about what you communicate to your children, especially as in their formative years. Or what would you say to parents whose children have been, in a way, labeled and told, sometimes schools actually tell the parents that actually this is where I think your child sits, right? What should they do? Is there a way to assess for yourself what your child is capable of? And if you disagree that they can do more, what else could they do?
I think the education system always has and always probably will be driven by results and academia. And not every child needs to be an academic. Of course we do need academics, but we also need inventors and creatives and hands-on people too. Look at your child, find out what they're good at and build on that. If you build on that and tell them they're successful, make them be successful, whether it's in the arts or sport or whatever, once they succeed in one aspect of their life, they will succeed in other parts.
Place. Yes.
If you tell them that they're not good, they'll live up to that.
Yeah.
Tell them they're good and other things will fall in line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think celebrate the positives.
How can we advocate for our children in the education system? I know you're not in education and, neither of us are an expert in this. I appreciate. But how can a parent advocate for their child if they feel that they are round pegs being fitted in a square hole? Right? And you really know in your heart that actually the narrative, the circumstance in school is not quite appropriate because they spend 80% of their waking hours there. Yeah? From 9 to 5, they're literally in school. How can we advocate?
I think stop comparing people. Stop comparing your children to your other children or your children to the friends in their class. And put your child in the school that's right for them rather than right for you.
Yeah.
I mean, in Kent, we've got the 11 plus, which is great if your children are academics.
Aptitude,
And 2 out of 3 of my children went to grammar school. All 3 could have gone, but one of my children, I didn't believe it was the right place for them. So they didn't, and they excelled in the school they went to.
Yeah.
So just look at your child, find what's best for them. Don't live up to expectations of the world, your friends, your peers. Do what's right for that child. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to ask you what school you went to. No one's going to ask you when you were potty trained, when you cut your first tooth. All these things that you, in competition with your children, don't, because it's not going to matter in the long run. I think, look at your end game. So say to your children, what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And then work back from that and find out how you can get there. It doesn't have to be the same path. It doesn't have to be that you get your GCSEs, your A-levels, your degrees. There could be a different path.
Yeah.
Look at me. I left school with a breaststroke certificate. And
look at you now.
And then I got an O-level in English and maths at Hendon. So I left school with nothing because it wasn't the right place to educate me.
Yeah. You left school with nothing because it had nothing to give you. You know, like you don't need a certificate to be successful in life. It's what I would say. And I know I come from a very academic family. You know, my dad's a doctor and all of that. But very, very quickly I learned, you know, that actually, you know, sometimes education is a means to certain ends, but a bit like you, I'm a doctor, but I'm an interior designer. Most people don't know it, but I do have a diploma in interior design, and I'm an entrepreneur now. And actually, all of my experiences from that structured education is helping me now. But I don't think that I wouldn't have been able to explore other aspects of my life if do you see what I mean? If I hadn't done that. And I think it's also important, actually, that parents learn how to advocate for their children, right? To the outside world, I often say because, you know, when I consult with families sometimes and they are trying to access help for their children, usually children who have quite specific needs, usually neurodevelopmental needs. And I often just sort of say, no, calm down. No, honestly, calm down. This is a conversation, a collaboration between you, me, and school, right? Mm-hmm. It cannot be antagonistic. You cannot go with guns blazing. It needs to stay collaborative. And I think usually works when I manage to get them to take on a collaborative approach and advocate for your child in the school setting rather than anything else don't tend to work, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I used to go to parents' evening for all my children, and I'd sit down and I'd say, are they happy? Mm-hmm. Yes. Are they well behaved? Yes. Yeah. Do they work as hard as they should and could? Yes. I've got nothing else to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wish that all parents would be like this. Yeah. They want them to be the best in the class. I want them to be the best they can be. Yeah. And if the best they can be is average in the class, but they're working the hardest, that's great. I mean, all three of my children now have got degrees, and two of them, well, one did a degree and the other one did the master's during lockdown. So I was privy to a lot of their lectures. Yeah. So I feel as if I am educated now. Yeah. But it was through my children. And actually, I'm learning a lot from the young people here. You never stop learning. The learning isn't just the years that you're given at school. Mm. Every day is a school day. Yeah. And young people teach me so much every day. Yeah.
I find I'm learning quite a lot by listening to podcasts. I call it the university on my phone, right? Because, and I do encourage, I've got an 18-year-old daughter, and I do encourage her to listen to podcasts, because there you'll find a lot of experiences condensed in 1 hour, basically. And it could potentially, I find them quite inspiring. I mean, it sounds like you're a natural born mentor, right? Do you do any mentoring as a business on your own, other than LaunchIt?
Yes, I do. I started up my mentoring service during lockdown, actually, because a lot of people contacted me who had been furloughed, made redundant, or needed a change in career. And so on my LinkedIn page, you'll see a lot of testimonials from people who I helped during lockdown. One was a counsellor who wanted to go into group therapy for women that thrive, and she didn't even have a photograph of herself on her website. I got her talking to camera and doing podcasts, and her business has really flown from chocolatiers to all sorts of businesses, and the testimonials are on my LinkedIn and will be on my website soon. So yes, I do mentoring for people outside of LaunchIt, and I find also, because of the age I am and the experience I've got, I can get past gatekeepers, and I know a lot of people, so I can put people together, and that is half your battle.
That's your
finding the people to work with.
People to work with, and not bashing your head against the wall. Really, if you can find the decision makers or people that will literally, make a difference to your journey, then that's fantastic.
How many emails do you get that you don't even read?
Yeah.
You know, so to be able to get someone to read your email is half your battle. So that can save you years and lots of money. So yeah, in answer to your question, I do.
What's your approach then? So in terms of, if I wanted a bit of mentoring with you, what's the process? How does it work? Do I book an appointment? Do I sit down at a desk, or how does it work? Everything's
bespoke. So just make contact, and then we have a consultation to find out if your dream is viable. If sometimes you have to have hard conversations.
Realism.
And not to give up your job just yet to start in it. So just a conversation, and it's a bespoke approach because everyone's different, everyone's business is different. And like I said, I mentor completely different to other mentors. I don't tell you about your business because you're the expert. I mainly tell you what not to do, the pitfalls to avoid, and how to cut corners, not in a bad way, but just to get to your end.
Be efficient with your...
To work smart rather than harder.
Yeah. I mean, that's brilliant. I am definitely leaving your contact details at the end of this. And I'll be probably grabbing some of it because, as you know, I've got a company, I've got a business and a company called HealthMary, which is all about women providing solutions for other women in terms of healthcare and lifestyle, because I think there's a whole lot of challenge when it comes to women accessing health and lifestyle solutions. But the other huge issue, I think, is the other side of the table, where women are the providers and the challenges they have in running their businesses. Most times, I think that they are the unsung heroes of our health economy, right? Women who are health providers and doing it, on their own, often sort of forgotten and not talked about, and therefore struggling as a result. So anyway, I digress. HealthMary, this is what it's about.
That's an app, isn't it? Because I've downloaded it.
Oh, yeah. Have you? Oh, thank you. And we're still growing it. And my point was actually that yes, indeed, I will probably be having a chat tapping into your expertise there, because I think it's so important. The journey could have been, could be halved. The effort could be halved if you had a right mentor, if you had the right person showing you the way, because they've done it before. In a way, I feel like our journeys mirror each other. We've kind of done certain things, done a bit of interior designing as well. And
I'll show you my house if you show me yours.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's a date. I'll definitely leave your link in the description below, because I think it's so important, especially if there are young people who are listening now. This will be so useful for them to know about. So at 63, you're 63?
I will be on Thursday.
On Thursday. Yes. Oh, happy birthday in advance,
Thank
Denise.
you.
Oh. What would you say to your 16-year-old self now?
I'd say, don't be so focused on what you think you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Take every opportunity with both hands and see where life takes you, and try and meet as many people along the journey. Yeah. And be nice on the way up, because you'll certainly meet them on the way down.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. And looking forward, right? What's your end game? Is there an end game? I say this on purpose, using the word end game, because I know you're going to tell me there's never going to be. But what are you looking forward to? What would you say to your 80-year-old self?
I'd say, I hope you're not working still.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'd say. And I'd say, as I'm laying on a lounger on a cruise ship out around the Caribbean, I'll be raising my glass to all the people who are now successful business people who I met along the way. And I'd say, cheers.
Yeah, because that's your definition of success, isn't it? What is your definition? I don't want to put words into your mouth, but what's your definition of success then?
I think it's to be recommended, to be known for what you do well.
Yes.
And with that, obviously, does come financial gain. But for someone to recommend me in whatever aspect I am, as an interior designer, as a mentor, that means you've actually got there because someone recognised that you've done your job well, and you're making other people happy or successful.
You made an impact and a difference.
So that's my definition of success.
Yeah. It's interesting how all of my guests have defined success, and not one person have put it down to their bank balance. I think that is so important. I might have mentioned this before, but I was talking to Nikki the other day and I said to her, there's two types of bank balances when you're running a business. There is your pound balance and there's your people balance, right? And you should focus on both equally, right? Because it's so important. Introducing HealthMary app, health, well-being and lifestyle solutions for women by women. Download the app. It's free and it's all the girl power you need. Do you read books?
I've got lots of books.
Yeah. Do you read any of them, Denise?
I start on the first page at Christmas on my birthday when they're bought for me.
Yeah.
I don't have time. Isn't that awful? The only time I read is when I'm on holiday. And this year I will be starting taking holidays. So the answer is I will be.
Yeah. So.
Yes. I read books which are more factual, teaching me things rather than
because you brought an interesting book in for us. Let's have a look. Rooms to Grow Up In. Did you know that when I finished my interior design course, initially I wanted to go into the business of doing rooms for children with neurodiversity. Right?
Oh, wow.
Because there's a lot to be said about the environment. So especially for children who are autistic, and the colors, the texture, so important. And obviously there can be high-end versions of what would be appropriate for them. But I knew that you could actually create spaces for them that they could thrive in and even sleep better in. So things like their sleep can be up and down and all of that, but a lot of it can be environmental. So this is interesting that you've bought this. I told you, you together, we're linked up totally. Okay, so this is by Rosie Fisher. You mentioned her before. Is she the one that did Prince Williams?
Dragons of Walton Street, yes.
Wow.
So this is pre-internet. So if you wanted to find anything, you needed to get a book.
Yes, you'd have to go to there must be an audiobook version of this, because most things are on audiobook. I'll do the research, guys, and if I find the audiobook version, I'll put it in the description as well, because I think this is probably a book a lot of parents should at least glance and look at, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because none of these labels or names were known back then, but I used to talk to the child before I designed their room, and sometimes I'll draw a house, the wardrobes, ugly wardrobes, just make them a bit prettier, make them into a house. And the downstairs windows would be blackboards, so they could draw on them and touch them and fill them. And lots of things would be textured. So if I did like the Seven Dwarfs walking through a poppy field, there would be textures of the flowers and leaves so that they could touch them. And all the things I didn't really know what I was doing because it wasn't a thing then. But a lot of things were for all the senses.
You're very instinctual, and things don't have to be a trend for it to be true and real, if that makes sense. So I think you were very just sensible and very instinctual what you did, because you stopped and listened to the child and talked to the child, and that's what made you
Well,
good
this is
at
the
your
thing
job.
I used to say is that when I used to go in and design children's rooms up to teenagers, can I talk to them?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are going to be spending the time in that room. And someone would say, oh, Fred wants a black room. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let him have a black room. It'll only be for 18 months, then he'll want something else. It's a coat of paint. But talk to child. This is their environment where they're going to be growing in.
It affects their behavior
Absolutely.
and their mood and anxiety and all of that. It does make a difference, you know?
And if they feel they're listened to for their own environment.
Yes. Given some control and autonomy
Absolutely.
about their own space. I mean, we assume kids are kids and we just shove them in a room, but actually little things like that makes a huge difference, isn't it?
Yes.
This is amazing. Can I borrow this book?
You can indeed.
I'll go through it because I've said that I'm going to read all the books that my guests recommend.
I should have bought you War and Peace then, shouldn't I?
Oh, we can swap over that. Oh, why? Is it a big book?
Yeah.
How cheeky. But I will definitely look through it because obviously it's of special interest to me as well. And yeah, this is amazing. At the end of every episode, or towards the end of every episode, I read out the quote or affirmation that is left by the guest before the guest I have, if that makes sense. And so my last guest wrote something here, which I think will probably be relevant. It's interesting how people have left quotes here that make sense. It's as if they could predict what we're going to talk about the next time. So this was left by the guest before you, who said, "If you are scared, don't worry, do it anyway."
Absolutely.
Do you think that's true? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I absolutely agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. It's the same as what if I fall? What if I fly? Yes. So if you don't do it, you'll never know, will you?
Yeah, exactly.
And don't end your life thinking, oh, what if?
What if?
It's much better to have done something and it not happened than
for
to
me,
not have done it.
That is my own version of success. If I come to the end of my life and I don't have too many what ifs.
Yes.
That for me, I've succeeded in life generally. And yeah, this makes sense. If you're scared, do it anyway, and don't worry, because worry doesn't actually do anything.
And you'll learn from everything, even
if you failed at it, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's sometimes a quick way to learn.
Yeah, exactly. Denise, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been a really interesting conversation, and I know a lot of people who have listened today will be informed and inspired. If there was ever an underdog story, this is one, and I think what you do is inspirational. I hope Denise has inspired you as well to take a bit more action towards being a good role model, towards helping young people, especially those who come from a back foot. If you have any skills, funds, resources, make yourself available to help others, because ultimately we want to create a good world where we can all thrive. And plus, there's that fantastic feel-good feeling when you're 80 on a yacht, looking back and thinking, yes, I did that. On that note, please continue to subscribe to our episodes, share and like, because if you do that, I'm able to bring more of these inspirational stories to you. I'm able to invite more women and give them the microphone so that they can share their stories to, which I'm sure you will be learning so much from. So please subscribe, share. I will leave the links to everything we've talked about today, to Denise's LinkedIn account. Approach her if you're interested in being mentored. I'm definitely gonna have a tete-a-tete with her later on. And on that note, look after yourselves. Keep your purpose front and center and your passion burning brightly. Take care. Coming up next week on Beyond 9 to 5.
They are the most overused and undervalued part of the body. They're taken for granted and they're only looked at if, as I say, you get out of bed and you go, ow, I'm fed up sitting behind a desk,
Yes.
looking at a screen all day and not really doing anything. You know, I wanted to actively get out there and help people.
Yeah.
I think I felt that was my destiny. Gut instinct is a big thing because you can listen to your head, you can listen to your heart, but your gut is always right.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting things about menopause, it can affect the size of the feet. So
Really?
I would say go and get your feet measured because you can grow up to a size and a half bigger during menopause. She said, don't get married, don't have kids, go and see the world and have a career. And I went, I want all of that.
Yes.
I've done my backpacking. I've been around the world. I've got married. We're married nearly 23 years. I've got 2 lovely children and I've got my career.
Why does anybody never tell you that?